Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, very rare and very different than outside the usual norm here on this channel. I don't have a voice actor here for today's interview, but I do have a anime translator here, and his name is Jake Jung. How are you doing, Jake?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm happy to chat with you today. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, same here. It's very exciting to talk to someone in the industry who's, part of the components getting these great anime titles, and you're one of the frontmans of it. So it's exciting to kind of get to dive into your perspective and hear about how all that inner workings go behind the scenes.
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about it.
All right, so yeah, I got some great questions to ask you. For some of us who have been following you on your Twitter, you are an American who's actually living in Japan. So to kind of like put the perspective in light, helping living in Japan, certain effect on your career path. Tell us, what is it like living in Japan?
Well, I really love it. I've been here for almost 12 years now, so for a really long time. I got interested in Japan from a Japanese friend I had in high school who moved to Michigan when he was a kid, and he kind of first got me interested, and then I actually decided to study Japanese in university because I caught Cowboy Bebop on Toonami or whatever it was, right before my freshman year. But yeah, I studied abroad in Kyoto for a year, then did 2 years on the JET program in Mie Prefecture, teaching English in a junior high school. And then I've been living in my wife's home prefecture of Kagawa for about 10 years now. It's in the countryside, so it's pretty peaceful here. Most of my neighbors are somewhat older, even a lot of elderly people. But yeah, I get on well with everyone. We've got, we do like community, well, when COVID's not a thing, when the pandemic's not going on, we do community barbecues, and there's a big yearly festival where we carry around like a huge portable shrine up and down, stop in front of everyone's homes and shake it back and forth and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I really like it here in the countryside. It's a good place to raise a couple kids, a lot of nature. We're by a great state park. But I really enjoy getting to Japan's big cities as well. I mean, Tokyo is one of the greatest cities in the world. It's just got everything. You go up in the sky tree and you look out, and it's just, built up as far as the eye can see. So that's neat. But my favorite is Kyoto, where we still go as a family pretty often. It's just got such a great mix of super beautiful temples and shrines with a lot of history, and then also it's still a modern city with all the conveniences and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, as far as being like an American in Japan, I don't know. I mean, it's life has treated me really well here. It can sometimes take a while to make really good friends who are interested in more than just English or talking about experiences abroad, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I've made some really good Japanese friends, like some snowboard buddies and stuff, and drinking buddies, and yeah, I mean, if you've got any specific questions about life here, let me know. But it's been good.
Yeah, definitely. For the viewers watching this who either are following you currently on your social medias, or to any of the new viewers who are seeing you for the very first time, why don't you tell us about just life in general, like living in Japan and compared to your past we used to live in the United States, like any differences between like the two cultures, just the work life, the home life, just anything that you being a father, you tell yourself like, wow, you know, I can't believe this is how life is in Japan back then. In the United States, it would be a whole different ball game than raising a family or even just working or living in the United States. So just any comparisons, just how you feel
Oh,
walking
yeah.
down those streets.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I moved here, you know, as soon as I graduated university. So I haven't really lived as an adult in the U.S. and worked as an adult in the U.S. But yeah, what kind of stuff is different? I mean, in general, I think it's a good example. I mean, the way communities are set up is very different. Like I grew up in the suburbs, you know, so a lot of you know, big lawns and you know some homes with like swimming pools and that kind of stuff. Where Japan, it's very either urbanized or countryside. So it's more like Europe in that respect, where you've got really built up cities, and then as soon as you get out of the cities, it's you know a bunch of like rice fields and that kind of stuff. So I live in the area with rice fields, which is a different experience than you know growing up in the suburbs in Michigan. Um, boy, uh, you know, I think once you live in a country for a long time, you just kind of get used to the way things are done. But definitely, I mean, a lot of you know the stereotypes and things you hear have like a grain of truth, where you know people in Japan in general are quite polite. You know, they're uh, not as many shouting matches or you know things of that nature, and you know using the respectful language. With emails or in a work environment, you know, that kind of thing is super important in Japan, more so than in the States, I think. Um, in terms of school, I think it's kind of neat that all the elementary schools here, they tried to build them within walking distance. So my daughter walks to elementary school, which is, you know, pretty different than I think I lived about 5 miles away from mine, and of course took a school bus there. So it's definitely pretty different. Um, so yeah, in the countryside, a lot of these elementary schools like only have like you know 15 kids in the whole grade or something because they make them so local. So it's kind of interesting. One thing I really like about Japan is just how much history there is here. I mean, you know, some of these temples and shrines I like going to in Kyoto were, you know, first built in like the 1300s or whatever. So from an American perspective, that's pretty neat to see structures of that age stuff. Yeah, I don't know. If I think of anything else that's really culturally different, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that that definitely kind of help put perspective for any viewers out there just curious about your life in Japan. Us, yeah, like me, who follows you on Twitter, just seeing your posts, seeing your pictures. You know, I'm always fascinated by your life. Like each day, it's always something new. There's always something that you bring to light whenever you make these posts. Like you said, with the culture aspect and that yes, that nature walk. I've seen that, you know, from your home, making that walk in the. I see there's some like I think there's a few mountains in the background, and like that is beautiful. Like just walking through that autumn air where it's not too cold of an autumn, just nice enough where you can take in the brisk air, just breathing, taking that nice stroll, no hurry, just you and nature at its best. It's just amazing how you can capture those moments and also just show us, your followers, how nice of a life you get to have with this amazing career path you're in. So I guess I want to follow that up with just that the language of Japanese. You have definitely mastered language. You've read the hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And and yes, kanji is one of the most difficult characteristics to comprehend. And so, us the viewers, why don't you tell us about just going from the beginning level of Japanese all the way to your master level mindset, where now you have a career using Japanese, translating Japanese to English, vice versa. Uh, that'd definitely be something we like to hear from you right now.
Sure. Well, I studied Japanese at the University of Michigan formally, but you can definitely study on your own, do self-study as well. But at the beginning, it's definitely well, you're learning at the beginning, you're learning new stuff all the time, so it actually is quite rewarding. But at the same time, it's kind of a hard first few years to get through before you get the payoff of being able to watch anime or other media or read like a manga and comprehend it without stopping all the time to look things up. So um, those first years are definitely maybe the hardest to get through, but I think once you get to somewhere about level 2 of the Japanese language, what is it? Oh, proficiency test. Yeah, the JLPT, the Japanese language proficiency test. Once you get to level 2 or so, really with just more and more self-study, you can just keep building up your ability level. But let's see. So yeah, kanji is learning kanji is a very long haul, but endeavor. But I've heard really good things about this site called WaniKani that can make studying kanji fun. So that would be something that I maybe recommend, because I did it in school through kind of the like rote memorization way, where you'd get a list of like 10 kanji you need to learn by the next class, and you just like write each one a couple dozen times, and that's not really too fun. But of course, in any translation, including anime translation, you can just look the kanji up if you need to, so it doesn't really hold you back. I think when it comes to translating media, though, one of the hardest things is actually how quick the dialogue is. There's so much stuff that you never learn in a textbook that you're going to need to get a really good hold on to be able to translate something well. And for that, I think where living in Japan has benefited me the most. Because you hear all these, this slang and these grammatical forms that you wouldn't learn from a textbook in daily life. So that's definitely helped. But translators, they have tricks for finding out that kind of grammar if it's not something we know. Where there's various. I think it's the Chiebukuro, which is like knowledge bag on Yahoo Answers, where actually a lot of Japanese people like ask, "Hey, what does this actually mean?" or whatever, and I end up reading that stuff from time to time. Something that's often overlooked in translation, especially media translation, is how important your writing ability and the language you're translating into is. So like, English writing ability makes a huge difference. The first step, of course, is comprehending the Japanese properly, but to make a good translation, you need to be able to write good English dialogue that if the Japanese sounded natural and the sentence was worded in a nice way, then you need to be able to replicate that in English to give viewers the same kind of experience. You don't want to have beautiful narration in Japanese and then have it just sound very bland or directly translated in English. Made in Abyss is actually a good example where the narration in Japanese, when I heard it for the first time, I said, wow, this is really beautiful writing. I need to try my best to make sure it's beautiful in English too. So for people who aren't studying Japanese formally, a good place you can just start to study on your own is Take Him's Guide to Japanese. It's just like a free resource that from the very beginning, katakana, hiragana, to the very beginning grammar points all the way through pretty advanced stuff is a good free online resource. And then for translating specifically, one of my top tips is to find some translation of something that's really well regarded, like a manga or anime, and then try to translate a chapter of it or an episode yourself, and then compare those what you got with the official translation, and see what you like, what you don't like. It's just a really good learning exercise. And just for some examples, for like video games, Alexander O. Smith, who did some of the Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy X and 12 and 9, or for manga, like Stephen Paul, who does One Piece, or for anime, Javier Lopez, who's kind of my mentor, who onboarded me at Sentai. He did like No Game and No Life. So those are some really great translations you can look at.
Yeah, definitely. That's some great points right there. Just hearing you break down these different perspectives. And yeah, I think there's a bit of questions from certain people that they kind of like know that name title, translator, but just don't know like all the nitty-gritty details of what that job description entails, and certain stepping points to really get a grasp on what the job really is, and how you kind of assess certain situations where he or she may not know how to fully translate something, but have other sources to look them up themselves and just find that perfect match to preserve that meaning, as well as getting the translation fully turned.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk a little bit about like the process of like translating an anime episode, or?
That would be great. If you want to just tell us more about how your job description
Yeah, sure.
is broken down, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah. So oftentimes I'll be able to choose between a few series, like a few shows, like what I'm going to translate that season, which is nice. And then, so that might happen like a few weeks before the new season of anime shows start. And then I'll start kind of research. After I make my choice, I'll kind of start researching the show, looking it up on Japanese Wikipedia and that kind of thing. And if it's based on a manga or a light novel, then I'll read at least some of the manga or light novel ahead of time to get an idea of it. And then usually the scripts for the show will come in quite a bit ahead of time. In most cases, not always, but usually, a few, like before episode 1 airs, I already have like the scripts for maybe the first 4 episodes or something like that. And it's really variable by series, but usually if the final video is not done in a reasonable amount of time, they'll send a kind of the rough working video, which is what the Japanese voice actors use when they record their dialogue. So it's just kind of rough animation that's not colored in. But the important thing is it's got the the voice actor's dialogue, which is something that, you know, helps a ton when you're translating, because you want to match the delivery. You know, you want to match the intensity, you know, whether they're saying in a regular voice or shouting it. So that, but yeah, ideally, I don't start translating until I have a video of some kind. But sometimes, especially later in the season, it will be last minute where you have to translate the script ahead of time, and then the video comes in, and then you have to tweak the translation to fit the video, and then send that in, and then it's, you know, simulcasting, you know, the same day, like 12 hours later or whatever. So it can be tight later in the season sometimes. But yeah, so when you're translating anime, the actual video and the dialogue, the audio on the video is you know, the king that you need to go by. So the script is kind of just an aid. But yeah, I'll what I do is I'll have the script on one side of my screen, and then the video kind of above that, so I can still see the script, and then, you know, I'll just pretty much type the translation into Word. You know, I've got my all the hotkeys and stuff set up, so, you know, it's easy for me to go back 3 seconds in the video, or to play the video back at like half speed if I'm trying to make out some ad-libbed dialogue. Sometimes they'll add that into the script, and then other times they won't, so you just have to listen very carefully to be able to translate that. Yeah, you know, I've got a bunch of dictionaries and things I use. I especially like the Kenkyusha Ingenious dictionaries, because they've got very good example sentences, and they're highly reliable. They're checked pretty thoroughly. And then, you know, if you really need to know what a word means, though, monolingual Japanese to Japanese dictionary is the way to go. And I use Kojien, I believe it's called. It's a good one. And then there's this online dictionary as well called ALC, or like ALC, and it has some really wild examples in there with a lot of slang and stuff. So it's not a good resource if you don't know what something means, because you might write something totally inappropriate. But if you already know what something means, and you just need some like colorful like examples, or, you know, like I mean, just off the top of my head, for example, you know, if you know, you know, every anime fan knows baka means, you know, stupid or idiot or whatever. But if you look it up in ALK, there'll be like a list of like 40 different words or something. So, but I mean, usually it's more useful for, you know, phrases, colloquial phrases, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'll do I try not to go too slow on my first pass of a translation. If there's something that I'm unsure of, or if I'm just having trouble wording something as nicely as I'd like to, I'll just highlight it in yellow and then go back to that on the second pass. So yeah, I'll do an initial translation. Then if I can, it's always best if you can, if there's enough time, if you can sit on it overnight, or at least till later in the day before you edit it, because I found that it just gives you more time to fully, you know, decompress all of the content, and then maybe come up with some better phrases later on. Also, too, like, you know, puns and stuff like that. If you can think about it for a day or so, sometimes you'll think of something better. So.
All right, yeah. So that's, I think you really give us a lot of information, some great details, resources that will probably help those, you know, probably in your ballpark, trying to be translators, or at least have the idea how to translate with some reliable sources they can turn to, like you mentioned, those dictionaries and that website. They can definitely point people to the right direction when it comes to keeping that same meaning, as well as keeping the proper translation. And it is very imperative in your field to make sure that everything is translated without being too inappropriate or have that mismeaning somewhere along the lines. So yeah,
Yeah,
it really helps.
it's always, a balancing act. You want to keep the same nuance, you want to keep the same core meaning, but you also want to make it sound good in English. So there's a lot of considerations, and yeah, just do the best we can.
All right, and just to make the transition from your translating work, for those that have seen photos, they're very beautiful, and those who may not know that it's also kind of part of your profession. Why don't you tell us about what is like being a professional photographer?
Yeah, photography is definitely my main hobby, and Japan presents a lot of really great opportunities to take nice photos, both in the countryside and the landscapes, and then the cityscapes too. All the neon, the narrow alleys and the neon and the skyscrapers. But yeah, so besides translation, I've done some stock photography with Getty Images for quite a few years now. So that's nice in that I can just do that when I've got extra time. It's not like a set gig where I've got to show up and take photos. It's just whatever photos I've taken that work for stock photography, I can use with them. I think it's really nice because it gets me outdoors, doing something away from my computer. um, and but I mean, I think maybe one of the reasons that I prefer anime translation to, like, manga or light novels is because I am a very visually oriented person. So the photography and the nice, smooth, colorful animation kind of both draw me in, I guess. When when I have more time to focus on photography specifically, it can be fun to like go up into the mountains and shoot star trails. Like, you get a bunch of like a shot every 30 seconds or so, on a timer, and then you can merge them all together and make the pathway of the stars, which is kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, Japan is just a great place for photography because you've got the beautiful temples and shrines and the modern cities as well. Lots of beautiful countryside. Something coming from Michigan that surprised me is Japan is, like, I think around 80% mountainous. So pretty much everywhere that's flat is, like, cultivated or built up city, and then the rest is all mountains. So mountains generally make for nice photography.
Oh, they sure do. And that's another appeal of your social media handles, where you post those amazing pictures, as I keep referring to. It helps the fans who watch anime then decide to follow you for being a translator, and then because you almost get to paint a picture of your life with these photos, illustrating those pictures with your family, or when you go on your usual uh, trip, going back to the office, whether it be on a train or you're walking the streets in the city, that metropolitan lifestyle. It's got that appealing touch that only you have, that certain style that I have seen, where you're also balancing not just your translating work but your photography work, just keeping that rhythm as you do these amazing translations of these amazing shows, as well as seeing these pictures going in and out of the office. And we were like, wow, this is awesome. Your neighborhood's beautiful. I'll keep saying that over and over again. Your your train rides, your walks in the city, they're amazing. the sunsets, sunrises, the daytimes, night times. I just I just can't help but keep praising you for these beautiful shots that you take. It's just that you got that awesome eye for what you visually see out there, and I hope to keep seeing more of that, more of those pictures on your social medias.
Oh, well, thanks for the kind words. I mean, yeah, nowadays, we all have smartphones in our pockets, so anytime a good moment, you know, comes up, you can be ready for the photo. But I try to carry around my mirrorless camera with me when I'm not too busy because the image quality or creating the bokeh blurred background effect is a lot easier on mirrorless, and you never know when a good photo opportunity is going to present itself. So if you've got a small high quality camera you can carry around with you, it definitely helps.
Definitely, and I can attest to that. I have some pictures of Japan during my first time ever in October of 2019. People who have been following me on my social medias, they can definitely take a look back and see my shots. But
Oh yeah, I'll go check that out. I'm
yeah,
excited.
I'll humbly say that mine don't hold a candle to your pictures. I think they're great for what they are, but yours outshine mine. And I say that
Well,
with as much sincerity as I can.
I'm excited to see yours though. I'll check them out after we're done talking.
Yeah, and if you can't find them, I'll definitely shoot them to you, DM or however's easier. So, like I
Cool.
said, hope you like them, but your skills just outshine mine any time of the day. All right. So moving on from the photography, now we want to know about you working in the industry. So why don't you tell us about working on the shows that are both titles from Sentai and some from GKids. You're not beholden to one of those companies. It's whoever you as a translator just happen to be in their orbit. So yeah, why don't you just let us know about just being in that anime work environment.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start with Sentai. So I started freelance translation in like 2010, and I did a lot of like business and general translation, finance stuff at first. And then I did video games for a while through agencies, and I'd worked on some pretty cool games, some pretty big games, but doing it through a translation agency, I felt pretty disconnected from the end product, and wasn't really credited for my work pretty much ever. So when Sentai's former director of translation, Javier Lopez, got in touch with me, I think he found my info on LinkedIn. With my experience translating video games and with my level 1 of the JLPT and that kind of stuff, and got in touch about taking a translation trial and working for Sentai in early 2016. Yeah, I jumped at the chance, and it was great working directly with the distributor, because I felt like more of a part of the team who was more connected to the final product. And yeah, Sentai's treated me really well. Like, first just, in terms of their like technical guy will stay up really late or get up really early in the morning, Houston time, to get me the video as soon as it's ready to go, which helps a lot with my schedule. So I really appreciate that. And they try to give me my choice of projects when they can, and it's good having first Javier and now kind of their other translators in-house that I can ask get feedback from or run ideas for puns or things past. It can be really helpful. And The thing that surprised me the most is, as a freelancer, I never thought that I'd get to go to a premiere of a film, like, and walk the red carpet or anything like that. So when Sentai, when I said that I'd like to go see Made in Abyss Journey's Dawn and the LA premiere in spring of 2019, and they said, I said, if I go, can I, maybe meet some of the Sentai staff who's going to be there, or whatever. And they totally exceeded my expectations and let me walk the red carpet and, go to the after party at like the Ritz-Carlton and meet, Kevin Penkin, who did the amazing music for the show, and the director, Masayuki Kojima. I chatted with him for like 10 minutes or so and learned some things about the follow-up film, Dawn of the Deep Soul, before they were even public knowledge. So it was really cool. And I'm also going to probably be doing a little something with them, but that's not directly translation related either, coming up. So yeah, it's been great. And yeah, starting last year, I got in touch with GKids because they license or distribute a ton of really great films that is exactly the kind of stuff I want to be working on. And their team there has been really great to work with as well. They've really valued my work, and I've done like a lot of like small jobs for them. Like they'll have like a message from the director type stuff that they play before screenings, and I'll translate a lot of that kind of stuff for them, and also some of the extras. But they've also had me do kind of revisions or quality checks to a lot of the translations, for their core films, just to make sure we can get the subtitles as good as we possibly can before release. So I got to, work on, do additional translation, kind of like revision checking work for Weathering with You and Lupin the Third, the First, and those are both absolutely amazing films. So it was really amazing to get to work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You've had so many good years with Sentai. When I look back into your resume, I was, just shocked. Like, I'm like, I've seen all these shows, and just me, just knowing you, because I believe we were sort of when did we start following each other? I think maybe like it was early 2020, I believe.
Yeah, I think maybe early 2020. Yeah, sounds right.
When I first saw your name and I started seeing your bio, I'm like, oh, a translator, okay. And I was like, wow, this guy right here, Jake Jung, he has translated all these awesome titles that I was just watching not too long ago. Like, wow, like, and now fast forward to now, where now we're getting to kind of like talk about your career, and then slowly moving into these shows that we're about to talk about very soon. So yeah, it's just amazing, just getting to know that, just getting to talk to you about just all of this, just coming full circle from Sentai to GKids and out to this interview slash podcast.
Yeah,
so,
I feel fortunate I've had the career I've had so far, and I'm working on something right now that I can't announce it yet, but it's incredibly good. So my career's still going strong, and I feel very fortunate. Yeah.
well, I'm glad you are enjoying part of this industry. You're in good hands with Sentai, from what I've heard. Everyone is almost like family. It's a great working environment. It's a great place to kind of like grow your career, whatever it is, whether it be translating, whether it be QA, just editing, just anything that they have, people will have their skills flourish at Sentai. And now with GKids, another great place where they have quickly expanded their name, their horizons, their catalog. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years from now, how far they're going to be, and what other stuff they will start acquiring. and probably stuff that you might still be working on. Now getting to hold Sentai one hand and GKids at the other. So you're definitely knocking out of the park having these two great uh, companies to be part of their realms.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, both of them, they've been really good companies to work for that really value their translators, which isn't something you can say about everyone. So yeah, I feel fortunate about that.
Yeah, definitely always great to have a company that really appreciates its translators, just doing that one of the hardest jobs, just trying to do the balancing act between two different images. So definitely it's a great career to be in. So in your years of working in this industry, what is your favorite title you've worked on?
Yeah, probably have to say Made in Abyss. It's just such a good story, and Kinema Citrus did such an amazing job with the animation production, and Kevin Penkin with the music. So just everything about it's great. When I translated the first season, I had only been translating anime for just over a year, and I remember stopping like halfway through the first episode and saying, "Wow, I can't believe I get to work on something this good. This is one of the best premiere episodes of an anime I've ever seen." So um, yeah, I think that would be my top pick. Uh, although it was just additional translation, not the full translation. The other thing I'd say is Weathering with You, because Shinkai has long been one of my very favorite directors, and it was um, like a goal, or just I thought maybe even a pipe dream to maybe work on one of his films one day. So getting to do Weathering with You was additional translation for that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely great titles right there. Shinkai, I praise him, been my favorite director for 10 years now, and just everything he does, just amazing, gets better. Each year you can tell that he is growing his skills. He will one day be like in that sage level, like Hayao Miyazaki is right now. And he's really being praised as the second coming of Miyazaki, that they're really slowly putting the mantle on him, since When With You came out, and I'm just
Yeah.
excited.
I mean, they're both such great storytellers with amazing vision, and on top of that, they're both amazing artists too. I mean, Shinkai, right? When he made Voices from a Distant Star, basically like all by himself, like in his 20s, I think it was. And, like you could just see the raw talent of like how good he was going to be. And then his first real feature film, Promised Place Beyond the Clouds, was the art in that. I just watched it again a few months ago, and like the art in that's just breathtakingly beautiful. So it's he's a great director. Yeah.
For sure. Another no one I'll keep praising till my final breath. All right. So to kind of like go through a timeline from some of your past work, I'm about to ask you. Why don't you tell us about this title you got to translate for? What was it like working on Flying Witch?
Oh, Flying Witch was great. It was my first ever anime translation, and I think it was the perfect first show to do, because from a translation standpoint, it's one of the less challenging ones. I mean, I think the main challenge was the uncle is from they're from Aomori, the city of Hirosaki, so he's got a really thick Tohoku, northern Japan accent. So for that, that was a bit of a challenge. I tried to he's like a rural like farming guy, so I tried to channel I think like Boomer from King of the Hill or something like that, but besides that, I mean, it's, set in modern day Japan, and the dialogue's all pretty straightforward for the most part. So it was a good show to ease me into anime translation. And as far as the show itself, I mean, it's just so relaxing and soothing, and it's got beautiful animation that depicts the countryside, which, even though I'm on the opposite side of the country, a lot of that scenery is very reminiscent of where I live. So it was a great, great first show.
Yeah, you said perfectly that the show taking place in that country setting didn't take place in the city whatsoever, which for me gave it more of that special appeal. Because for me, because I've learned theater, I've learned the arts. The settings do make a point when it comes to getting the audience drawn into what the story is, how the characters are, and it was perfect just seeing how we have these characters and the witch living in this countryside, just doing normal day things, nothing crazy. There's a witch in the show, but it's not going to be a horror show. It's not going to be a violent or a over the top type of genre. It's gonna be more of just a relaxing, calm, mellow type of feel. As you mentioned, with the countryside, it was reminiscent to where you live, because I made that comparison, like, well, like this has got to be kind of a bit of an easier job in a way, or just an easier mental state, looking through like the scenes of Flying Witch, and then you're looking at your backyard and seeing, it kind of looks like it could be,
Yeah.
it could look like it's taking place right now. So just having that that visual in your head, it definitely helps in its own unique way. And yes, the father in that show, because I've only watched it in the English dub. I just love how they did the character with that Texan voice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's just amazing how even the Japanese side, where they have their own version of country, and
Yeah.
of course in the United States there's different versions of country, so it depends which flavor you want to go with. So it it is something just to hear your perspective on what you got to experience when it comes to the certain particular parts of translations, not just translating the words, but trying to look at a certain character and make sure it's something that they would really say in real life, and not just so much from like a textbook or dictionary, because that would kind of throw away the actual authenticity of what this character would truly say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole point is, making it come across, natural, the same way it's coming across to me in Japanese. I try to make sure it gets across that same way to English viewers too. Yeah.
So yeah, Flying Witch, I love it. I listen to that little opening theme song in my car whenever I'm at work, just driving around. It's just so catchy,
Oh,
and
it's super. Yeah.
and
Yeah, I get to translate the songs too. Before doing anime translation, translating songs wasn't something I'd really done before, but every show has at least the opening and ending, and then I translated the show Classicaloid, which had a new song every episode, and it was a 50 episodes show. So some episodes even had two. I think there were like 57 songs or something in that show that I had to translate. So yeah, you get used to it. But and some people might be interested to know that songs are, unlike the actual episode translations, they need to be approved by the licensor. So it's kind of a laborious process where you translate it into English, and then you have to translate your English into Japanese, do a completely literal translation so they can see whatever little changes had to be made and then approve it. Like, for example, I mean, the most obvious stuff is in Japanese, you often admit omit the subject from a sentence. Like you don't say I or you, it's just implied. But in English, you need that. So, they see those choices that you've made there.
Yeah, no, though, good thing to, I guess, put on the side notes where you just said, like, the I definitely is emphasized in English. Japanese, not so much from what I've been from what I've heard or studied up. Even though I just studied Japanese 101 in my college, we do learn about it, but like you said, it's way different when you go to Japan, listening to native speakers speaking it. It's a whole different level when you're actually hearing it and living in that environment.
Yeah, it definitely helps you get used to everyday speech and the way people say things. Yeah.
All right, so moving on from Flying Witch, now it's about your favorite title you got to work on, and this one was both a TV series and a movie series. What was like working on Made in Abyss?
Oh yeah, that was just yeah, I loved doing it. Since it's a fantasy series, one of the you know main challenges as a translator was coming up with these like fictional names, especially for the creatures. Um, the manga creator, Squish Sensei, kind of he wrote the names only in katakana, so the like kind of the kanji and therefore the meaning has to kind of be inferred by the reader. So it was definitely somewhat of a challenge. And then I also had to make the names sound as cool in English as they sound in like Japanese. So like just for an example, he in this flower field there are these like really nasty insects that kind of imitate flowers. And their name in Japanese is like Kuongatari, which, if you translated that literally, would be like eternity fraudster or something. So I had to make that sound cool in English, and I ended up using Amaranthine Deceptor. And Amaranthine, it's like a basically is like a word for undying, or like specifically a flower that like never fades. So it kind of felt that was perfect. But some of them are more simple, just like Naki Kabane is like cry or shriek, wail, and then corpse, and I changed that into corpse weeper. So yeah, that kind of stuff. What else? There's a couple characters in Made in Abyss that their gender is never confirmed, so it's easier in Japanese to just not use he or she pronouns, but in English it's a bit harder to do. So I had to put in a little bit of effort not to mention the pronouns for Nanachi and Maruk. So yeah, that was kind of something that I had to keep in mind. And then also the narration was almost all of it's original to the anime. It wasn't in the manga, so and it's all really beautifully written. So that's one of the ways that I think plus Kevin Penkin's music, that the anime kind of took the story to the next level. But yeah, I spent a lot of time, comparatively speaking, on the narration to make it sound as good as I could.
Yeah, Made in Abyss, a show I definitely enjoyed. I only heard stories because I'm kind of old school in a certain way, where I'll make my way to a show kind of like the old fashioned way, where if it comes out, how it was back then, where it's pretend like, hey, this was coming up. When it's like certain Japan times, like I'm not really crazy trying to like try to like see everything right off the bat. Like I try to take my time as certain things make their way through the winter slate, the spring, summer, fall slates. Like I'll wait for it. I was hearing a lot of interesting things about Main Abyss. The first year it came out like around 2018, I believe, or 2017. So
Yeah,
then,
summer. Yeah.
and then when I heard it's getting an English dub, I'm like, okay, that's to my attention. And when I saw like the visual, when I just saw like what Handstorm, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is something unique, interesting that I myself haven't really seen before. It wasn't really trying to be super action packed, even though there's fighting in it. But that's it. They take that element to more like a low key, where it's still kind of like reserved when it really needs to be used, but more focused on like the visual, the beauty of the world they created, just going down into underneath the crust or getting closer into the center of that planet or the world they're in, and just seeing like the creatures, just seeing the plants, uh, just the cliffs, the mountains, all that land area, just captivating itself. As we keep mentioning, just how nature has that beauty, and what you're seeing just leaves you speechless, gets you more drawn into that world that at you're just at awe-inspired, just seeing that creativity put into these great great directors, these great creators, manga artists, just everyone that has contributed to make Made in Abyss what it is today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The world building is just a masterclass level. It's so good, and this the manga is still ongoing, and they're working on another anime sequel right now too. So there's more good stuff to come. I'm really excited to see where the story ends up going. I think we're releasing Volume 9 with Seven Seas in March, and that will catch us up fully with Japan, which Volume 9 is the newest one out. So it should be exciting for fans that like reading the manga to get ahead of them. What's currently animated.
Same here. I'm just excited how Man Abyss will conclude, especially in the just whether it be in the movie or the TV series. I just want to know, like, will these characters make it to the end? Will they overcome the obstacles that will challenge them? I'm just, especially with these mediums, I just want to see conclude visually rather than me read the manga, because when it comes for me consuming my animes or my anime movies, I like to just watch the whole thing just finish up instead of me having to be forced to go read the manga to see how it ends. So I'm in the wake of that they want Made in Abyss to keep getting its animation adaptation, and for us viewers to keep coming back for more sequels or more of those chapters being released through their animation form.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff that's like based on a light novel or like based on a mobile game or something like that. Anime is 12 episodes. They know there's never going to be a second season, and it's almost kind of like an advertisement just for the main light novel or game or whatever. But Made in Abyss, the anime has proved quite popular, and I really think they're going to animate the entire story, no matter how long that takes. That's what it's looking like. So I'm happy about that for sure. And I hope to be, along for the ride the whole time too.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be happy to see them take as much time as they need to give us that conclusion, wrapping up a perfect story, and just finalizing it to its fullest. So we just have to wait and see.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so another project you guys worked on, and this one was really unique. It's part of High Dive's lineup that when they first came out. What was like working on Release the Spyce?
I liked that a lot. It's actually kind of one of the more underrated shows that I'm glad I got to translate. Yeah, I think like the most important thing to me is just like how good a show is overall. But all other things equal, I like working on anime originals, which shows like Classicoid and then Release the Spice, which was also an anime original because it's fun going week to week with the viewership, the fans of the show not knowing what's going to happen next week. No one has looked ahead in the manga or light novel or whatever because it's all original. So, and there was also as a major plot point, one of the girls in Tsukikage is a traitor. That's what you learn in episode 1. So no one knows how that's going to play out. So it was exciting because I too, I had the scripts for a few episodes ahead, but you and I didn't know what was going to happen in the story overall. And from a translation perspective, it made it really important to keep anything that was ambiguous in Japanese ambiguous in exactly the same way in English. So that presented a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but I made sure to do that. And I think uh, I kept notes about anything that could potentially be like problematic, like giving away like who it was or something with the wrong wording. And I maybe changed like one or two things after the show was completed, but generally speaking, right on the first attempt, I was able to keep the ambiguity the way it was meant to be.
Yeah,
Uh,
you did a great job with it.
oh, thanks. Yeah, there's a lot of surprisingly really good animation in that show. Like some of the fight scenes and stuff, they animated really well.
Yeah, it definitely is. I enjoyed when it first came out, just watching it like each week as the episodes got dropped. I enjoyed the English cast, which I'm pretty sure you've kind of interacted with some of them. We
Yeah,
had some veterans. Kiara Vincent Davis, who's been in this industry since the 2000s. Hearing her take on like the leader role, which again, her being the veteran in the show, kind of already gave her for that hierarchy where the rest of the cast members have been doing this since the 2010s. So she does have like that more experience than them. Hearing people
yeah, it's a
like
good casting. Yeah,
yeah, like we got people like Christina Kelly, uh, Julie Fonick, aka Juliet Simmons. Hearing them as the the ones that are still growing, both in their characters in the show where they're at as team members and as well as actresses who are still trying to get more years under the belts as they get into new shows every year. So it's pretty cool dynamic. Just kind of think about that, and
oh yeah,
yeah, it's and I just like how it had like it was more of a female oriented show. It's just cool seeing all female characters in an anime because you're gonna get something special. Just it's always different when it's a show about females rather than guys. Because when it comes to guys, we've seen them like we've seen uh superhero movies with mostly guys. We've seen like comedies where it's all about guys. But then when you just give that to more of the females, you get like a different flavor despite the genre. So this show Release the Spyce being action with that with drama mixed into it, you get like a certain different feel for it. Just seeing these characters having to complete missions together, and as you mentioned, finding a traitor. How do they overcome that? How do they keep that team together without without causing any fragmentation in that unit? So it's a special show in itself, seeing how they work these elements together.
Yeah, no, I think the having a female cast like that is was really nice for the show. I think there's a lot of shows where they just call it like cute girls doing cute things, and those shows tend to be not my personal favorite. But Tsukikage, Release the Spyce wasn't really like that. They're all quite well-rounded characters, I think, and especially Momo, the main character, goes through a lot of personal growth by the end of the series. So it was nice, and they're it's an action show where they're kicking a lot of butt too. So I think it's a kind of a good girl power show in a way, and great characters with a good camaraderie between the whole group. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just the way they have that network, that social aspect, definitely was really different. Something I haven't really seen. Yes, we've seen action girls, rather knowing martial arts, knowing how to use guns or whatever it is we've seen before, but take that element, but twist it in a certain way that the audience hasn't seen before, then you have something really unique, something really special that stands out from the other shows that like to have that action oriented focus, but just make a little difference, and it'll shine on its own. So definitely Release the Spyce did just that.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Definitely, I'm hoping to see more shows that can either do that, just do the twisting, and it'll flourish on its own when you give like the right amount of a different ingredient into the mix. All right, so another show that has been really interesting that I got to see, caught me off guard, heard some good things. Why don't you tell us, what was it like working on Assassin's Pride?
Well, I think it was the first show based on a light novel that I've worked on before. So uh, it's quite difficult to adapt a light novel to the anime medium unless you know it's going to be super popular and you can go slow and still make a successful anime. But I think with Assassin's Pride, like they knew they were probably only going to have one season, so they had to rush the story quite a bit compared to the light novel and manga. So in the end, I don't think it turned out quite as well as it could have, or it works kind of as a like basically an advertisement for the light novel in a way. But it was still the world, kind of the basic premise of it, was really cool with like the sci-fi fantasy aspect of having the world within the lantern, and the outside is just a vast expanse of darkness populated by monsters and stuff. So that was pretty cool, and some of the fights were animated pretty well. The dialogue too, yeah, that was honestly some of it was kind of like cringy, so I had to get the cringy part of it across in English in the same way, which is kind of funny because normally I'm trying to make things sound as nice as possible, but some of the dialogue's just pretty ridiculous. So in its own way, it was fun writing it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a show that's not say it's the greatest 5-star show to ever come out, but for what it was enjoyable. For the world that tried to illustrate to us, like you said, the worlds in lanterns, I thought that was kind of like unique because I've not seen anything like that before. And just that world of darkness, them explain like there are monsters that live in that darkness. That kind of like gave us more of a feel that these characters are in danger if they're ever exposed to that darkness, being vulnerable to those monsters. So that kind of had you kind of like thinking about that a few times. And then when they when you kind of forget about it because it switched over to that academy with all those girls. They're like, okay, just cute girls with cute designs, cute color hair, and just them trying to fight with each other with like big weapons. Then it started like feel a little different. Where okay, these girls can kind of fend for themselves. Hopefully against these monsters, they'll be okay. So it's enjoyable in its own way if you are familiar with the title or you haven't. The pacing is so different in some other shows. One of the other reasons I like this is this was kind of, I believe this is Gabriel Regojo's very first main lead. For people who don't know who he is, he's still a newer actor in the scene. I got to interview with him a while back, before Assassin's Pride came out. So just seeing that, okay, he's slowly, getting these main leads. Hopefully, we keep hearing him in more future titles. Taking charge as the main character for other shows. He's got a great voice, and I think it matched perfectly for the character he was playing. That brooding type of character, one that's all business, no nonsense, with those unique sword skills. I think he's got a great voice for those type of guys. So yeah.
Oh, it's good to hear because Kufa is a character that like you said, brooding, no nonsense. So that sounds like the perfect fit.
Yeah, I like those characters because they have more of a story behind them. They're more three-dimensional. They show us a bit of their side, but like they're hiding something that we, the audience, we probably won't know right away. But as the episodes go by, we will slowly get to see more of them, and see them kind of like open up and see, okay, who are they really? What is it that they're hiding? And that kind of gets us like on our toes. Like, okay, we gotta see, where's this guy coming from? What is it that he can't say right now, but at the right time, maybe he will slowly pour out what he's been suppressing. And characters like that do make these shows unique in their own way, just by how the story and how these mechanisms work whenever we get these enemies out there.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm going too far deep into these analytics, because I like to analyze my animes and my characters. So
no, I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I've been told I'm a deep thinker when it comes to these shows. So yeah, I hope to see what else High Dive does with more of their dubcast, similar to Sentai. We're still in early 2021. We have a whole year to look forward to. So yeah, I'm wishing them for the best.
What I'm working on now will definitely get a dub, and I'm really looking forward to see who plays some of the characters because there's a lot of great ones. So something to look forward to.
Nice. I'd be looking forward to that. All right. So moving from Sentai, and now let's get to GKids. And here is my favorite anime movie of 2020 that I'd like to let everyone know. What was it like working on Weathering with You?
Well, I mean, the first preface caveat is that with GKids, so for these films, usually the translation is done by the studio directly, or the Japanese licensing company will have their own translation. And for GKids, I've been doing kind of additional translation, so going over the translation and offering any improvements I possibly can, which then kind of will be looked at by GKids and also may or may not need approval by the studio or the Japanese licensor. But in general, most of the vast majority of the stuff I suggested did make it into the revised subtitles. but yeah, it's important to say that the core translation, the bulk of the translation is the credits due to the original translator. But yeah, I did get to go over the whole script line by line and see whatever I could possibly improve or offer suggestions for. But yeah, working, like I said, working on Makoto Shinkai film has long been a dream of mine. I just love everything he does, and Weathering with You is no exception. I mean, maybe some of the prettiest animation ever created, and his just how realistic, the realism and recreating, some of these spaces, in Shinjuku or other parts of Tokyo. The amount of detail put in is just so impressive, and I've seen a lot of these places, with my own eyes and stuff. So it's extra special. But yeah, I mean, the main thing I kind of focused on, I guess, is just making Hinan Hodaka's, dialogue, sound as authentic and teenager like as I could. So that was the main translation thing. And I worked on a lot of the extras too. And I was surprised to see how much of an influence Yojiro Noda from Radwimps had on kind of the way the characters of Hina and Hodaka came together. So we actually, I think, getting to hear him and Shinkai, discuss the story and stuff over like the 90-minute documentary or whatever, maybe had some influence on some of my choices too. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I love this film. I remember hearing about this in 2019. This was like around August when I first saw the trailer drop. I was like, yes, because there's like I want to say like what, 3-4 years. I think more like 3. That's when there's a gap when Makoto Shinkai is working on something new. So once every 3 years, that's kind of like how we know, okay, in 3 years he's going to drop another movie. Then no, 3 years, another movie. That's kind of a pattern I have seen, from 5 centimeters per second. Then we had the voice General Chase Lost Voices. Then we got to the Garden Words, and then we got to Your Name, and then we got to Wedding with You. So I was really excited. Again, there was no English dub by that point. It was just Japanese. I'm like, okay, we're there. And then when I went to Japan in late September, then through early October, I went to Roppongi, and I was at that beautiful outdoor mall area, and then there was like this I guess like this theater, and it looked like almost like a planetarium looking building. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And I saw the picture of When With You, and this one where the characters, they're upside down, like falling. Like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I took
a picture of that. Like, that looks awesome. And like the whole area is just nice. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to see that soon. So then, of course, when I came back, I then hear that the dub is out. I'm like, oh, no way. And I saw some new names I never heard before, and a few names I have heard before. Some of the veterans, like the directors, like, oh, I know who they are. And then I went to go see it in theaters, and it was a great experience, like watching an anime film in American theater and having the atmosphere, just seeing the whole film from beginning to end. Like I said, I can see Makoto evolving his style and using certain key elements from his team that used to work for Miyazaki and sharing that knowledge with Makoto Shinkai, just upping the level of his creativity and his already polished skills and to something even more than he was before. I love everything about the film. The voice actors, I want to tip my hat to Brandon Engman. I cannot say his last name right. Ashley Bottichetter. I can't say her last name either. Definitely want to tip my hat to both Michael Cintroneclas and Stephanie Shea. They also got to reprise their roles from Your Name as well, since their characters make cameos.
Yeah,
so that was
yeah.
that
Those
was neat.
cameos.
And who else am I missing? Oh yeah, Mike Pollock. Just hearing him, knowing him as Dr. Eggman or Dr. Robotics, being part of this, that was interesting. And then just hearing other actors I've never heard before trying their hand in voice acting. Like I think his name is Riz Ahmed. He's also in that film. So
Oh, that's right. Yep.
just
he played the police officer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the dick one. He
Yeah.
was a dick. Yeah. So yeah, just who else am I missing? Because I just want to praise everyone who got to, get like a special moment in this film. Just even having this honor for them to be a Makoto Shinkai project is an honor in itself, because almost everyone, every voice actor, both in Japan and United States or North America in general, they would like to be in a Makoto Shinkai. But again, he's a rarity. He's something that comes every 3 years, and that depends like how many characters he decides to put into his films. So I'm looking forward to what he's going to do next, what other stories he wants to tell, because this one really just captivated me in so many ways. Just seeing this character run away from home, trying to live in the big city with complete strangers, but forming that bond, that relationship, and the music just set the tone. Like you said, the Red Wimps, they had that they had that musical element. I enjoy like the the song towards the end where they're in the clouds. That was my playlist. I listen to that at work all the time. Like I have to hear that song every day. So it's just that tone. Like when you hear that song, you think about Wedding with You right off the bat. So I even bought the CD for $40, import from Japan. $40 well spent. I bought I believe 2 different posters from Kinokuniya, the Japanese bookstore that's famous here in the States. So I got those posters in, as well as my limited edition DVD box set from GKids. I probably send you the picture on Twitter. I'm happy to own everything that's Wedding with You. It's a beautiful show. I always recommend people to check it out, especially to newcomers of anime. If they've never seen anime before and they want to get like a first taste, I recommend Wedding with You, because
me too. Yeah.
It's one where you will have a rich story to tell. You got characters that are relatable in their own way. And funny story I'm about to share with you, Jake, since this is a bit more of a podcast. I was kind of like the main character, leaving his home. I did that back in 2015. I left my home in Chicago, went to Los Angeles. I was living there with my cousin, at least having a place to stay. But everything else, it was on my own. I paid for my own food that I saved up. I walked all over Los Angeles on foot. Couldn't really afford transportation as much. If I did, yeah, I have some quarters for the bus, but I was like, wow, like I saw a part of myself with this character, because he's trying to also, live a new life away from the countryside and be in this big city. So it did kind of like touch me in my heart, where I'm like, wow, like just looking back, tell myself like I was so young, I was a bit naive. And I kind of saw like naiveness in the kid, where even us as the audience, we know what his goal was a bit unrealistic, that he might not be able to live the way he is, that sooner or later he will either have to go back with his parents, back to his hometown. So it it really meant a lot to me just seeing that small reflection from this film. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's yeah. When you can connect with the film on a personal level like that, it takes the story to even a greater place, I think. And I mean, yeah, the Hodoka's character, who Japanese society in general places so many expectations on the youth, and they've got to do this and that, and their life is very structured, and so he's got a really great character, who's trying to find himself and kind of rebelling against authority a bit, but still has his own goals in mind and everything. And yeah, it's a good story.
yeah, no, indeed it is, especially when stories really do reflect on real life, and these are real real matters that we don't we are not really looking much until like a story like this comes out. Japan does have that, like you said, that issue where they they cram like a lot of things in their minds, trying to be a good uh, figure in society, trying to make sure they are in the right path. But sometimes it's too heavy-handed, where the ones that the elders, the ones who are older, parents, the the figures of society, they're doing more harm than good when they don't know how to, let go a little bit. They need to understand that they need to exercise caution when trying to mold the mind of a child. Because if you put too much, stress, too much of your hands in their way, then that's when they start to rebel. They start to push away what they have been taught and look for answers elsewhere, which it's a different matter, which it's hard to really solve that when your own methods or their methods weren't working the first time. Now trying to find another method, it's going to be a little harder because nothing in life is easy. And of course, you know being in that higher up in society, trying to be in charge of making sure these children get the right mindset, that's a big responsibility and can backfire at any moment. So it's a bit of a learning lesson as well with Makoto's storytelling, where it's almost like a warning to adults in Japan, like you need to be careful. Like it's not plain simple. It's not like putting together a house. It's not like math where 2 + 2 = 4. These are human beings. Like
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
humans, we operate differently, and if you don't handle that properly, it's going to it's not going to unfold well for both sides. So, and I appreciate Makoto for kind of like, in a way, almost speaking up and not speaking up at the same time, because he's also trying to just because he knows he's an animator, that he's not trying to like tell people how to do their jobs or how to parent, but at the same time, illustrate the picture of, hey, this can happen in real life, and when this does happen, what's anyone going to do? What both sides going to do? How is this going to be resolved so this won't happen again? That's a unique perspective when you really think about it.
Yeah, he's got a great talent for making really three-dimensional characters that I think a lot of people, a lot of his characters are younger in their teens, and when you look back on those years of your life, you can really see what they're going through and see a lot of yourself in them. So yeah, he's very good at that.
Yeah, so love his work. I'll keep praising him all the time. Except for what the next 2 more years will look like, why he's going to drop. Maybe another show similar to this, or maybe he'll do something completely different that we're not seen yet. He's got a great mind. I'm pretty sure he's got tons of stories that he wants to tell, that he wants to paint for us, the fans, to see what he can do and what other stories he actually wants us to take in. So yeah, another few more years we gotta wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for whatever he's got coming next.
For sure, for sure. All right, so another GKids project you got to work on, and you mentioned this one earlier. What was it like working on Lupin the Third, the first?
Yeah, this was another great one. I've long been a fan of Lupin. I mean, Miyazaki's Castle of Cagliostro is one of my favorite animated films. So, uh, working on this again, the main credit for the translation goes to the original translator. I thought that before I even touched the script at all, I thought it was a really solid translation, but hopefully I was, going over every single line, able to offer a number of improvements to make it even better. So I hope people are pretty pleased with the English subtitles. But yeah, Lupin is such a fun character. I mean, because he's goofy and suave and charming at the same time. So it's a fun character to work on the dialogue for. And the story in the film, it's an action-packed adventure with a ton of really fun characters. The female lead, Letitia, is also a really cool character, and just the time period set in the 1960s. A globe-trotting adventure, just a really fun film. And both Weathering with You and Lupin are the kinds of things that I can wholeheartedly recommend to family and friends who aren't regular anime watchers, just as films that anyone can enjoy. So it's another one I'm glad I got to work on.
Yeah, when I saw your name as on the credits as for a title as big as Lupin, everyone knows about it. It's really hard to be anime fan and not have heard Lupin the Third even once. Like it's
Yeah.
it's
Been going on for Monkey Punch's manga, what came out in like the 60s, and then the first TV series was like early 70s, maybe, I think so, or sometime in the 70s. So yeah, it's been going on a long time.
Yeah, so I think it's a great step that you can add Lupin the Third under your belt, your resume of past projects you have done. I'm happy for you that now you can say that, hey, I'm credited in Lupin the Third. Just as a way to kind of solidify your career as a translator, having that just like that name itself. So I can't wait to see if you might be more Lupin stuff whenever they release another movie or what have you from here on out.
Yeah, I feel, I think this is something that translators who are starting out realize that it can be a tough slog at first, and then once you start getting some credits and more experience, then kind of the momentum builds on itself. So I'm fortunate to be at a point in my career now where I'm getting some really amazing opportunities, and I'm really grateful for it. But yeah, and put in. I've had a lot of lucky breaks, and it takes those lucky breaks. But then also, I put in a lot of work, and I spent years translating video games without getting any credit for it. So it's a journey, and at a good place right now.
Yeah, I think you found your footing. It does take time in any career path. Just trying to, understand, where you are in your career, how much of a valuable asset you are with these companies or whoever it might be you're working under, and say, okay, you have the chops, you have the know-how to make the work happen. Who are these higher ups that are willing to have you in their orbit, have you do this great work for you, as well as like recognize your talent and making this work, get finished up with the best quality in hand.
Yeah, once you get the opportunities, and definitely, you've got to turn in really good quality work to keep them coming. But I'm really thankful that my contacts at Sentai and GKids, they're both I really enjoy working with them, and they appreciate what I bring to the table. So I'm thankful for that for sure.
Yeah, I love your way of translating all the shows I've watched. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and it is thanks to you that both the Japanese side and English side can be brought into life whenever you're getting like the correct words to be spoken. And I can't wait to see more stuff in the future, both for movies, TV series, whatever they might be. You got that style where you kind of really got me almost recognizing how your style of translating is. And I probably will hope to hear it again, whatever the next time might be down the pipelines.
Oh, well, thank you for that high praise. Yeah, I'm pretty soon. I don't know exactly when, but before too long, hopefully I'll get to announce what I'm working on now after Sentai does, and I know you'll be excited for it because it's something really good.
I sure will. And I can't wait. I'm very patient. All right. So now I have a funny question that I'd like to ask you, and I've also asked to other people in this industry. So, of all the stuff you have translated, got to work on, which world would you like to live in of all the stuff you've got to translate? And
Yeah,
why?
it's yeah. I think well, a lot of the stuff is like based in the real world, so it wouldn't really be like much of an answer. And then like Made in Abyss, that world is just I don't think I'm cut out for going down to the abyss, so I'm not going to say that either. But I guess I'll go with the world of Adam the Beginning, which is that was like kind of a prequel to a prequel um, to Astro Boy. That's the English name, yeah. A prequel to Astro Boy, kind of. But yeah, I mean, in Adam in the Beginning, it's a world where they've got you know robots like androids that are like thinking and feeling and starting to become more human like, so that would kind of be an interesting world to live in, I think.
All right, for sure, for sure. And to kind of rebuttal on that question, with the flying witch, in a sort of way, you kind of are living that type of world, that countryside, or that the outskirts of the city. So you can really kind of like knock off your this where you're you're kind of really living that, and I can attest that to your pictures as well.
Yeah, flying witch, I mean, that's basically, besides the little bit of magic they have in that show, I'm kind of living that lifestyle right now. Yeah.
All right. So to kind of like come back to the whole learning of Japanese, for those out there who do want to pursue translating, doesn't be Japanese, but just translating in general, any advice or tips you give to those who want to really make a career out of translating and probably like be where you're at in the anime industry translating for all these anime TV series, anime movies. So anything you want to just uh, kind of like close up on that
Yeah, sure.
aspect.
Well, they already gave some kind of tips for like improving, in terms of studying official translations. They're doing your own translation of a work and then comparing it to the official one and that kind of thing. But for actually working in the industry, I think there's the most work to go around in video games, especially mobile games. The gacha style games just have a ton of dialogue that needs to be translated on like a monthly basis. So I think getting in there is a good place to start. And then once you build up some experience and once you kind of learn from other people on the team and you're getting confident in your work, maybe uh, you could move right to anime or manga. There's a lot more manga publishers compared to anime publishers. So, it might be better to try out manga first, and then I think if you can get a couple, manga series under your belt that you've translated, then if you approach, Sentai or Funimation after that, I think you'd have a pretty good shot at least getting to take the translation trial. And by that point, you probably have experience that you do a good job on it. And yeah, it'd be nice to be colleagues with some of the people listening to this someday.
Yeah, definitely. And I have seen, certain titles out there that don't really have translations, either because they don't have the budget for it to get translators, or they just don't have the manpower to do translations. There's always certain reasons why, but it would be nice to see animes and mangas get that English translation and just find the right people that, like you, know what can be really applied when translating English to Japanese to English, and then just having the right words to keep the meaning, to keep the phrases where it makes sense both in context and for what's happening in these animes or mangas, whatever moments it might be. So it is, interesting to get more of that perspective now as we talk to a veteran like you, someone that has really grown in this industry, where now these different companies know your rap, they know how you work, and would like to have someone like you on board to be a part of their titles.
Well, yeah, I hope to keep doing this for quite a while yet. And, I'm still excited, and every single time I get a new, show or film to work on, and it's can be challenging, but it's really enjoyable work, and I like doing it, and I'm gonna keep on doing my best.
Right on, man. Right on. That's the right mindset you have. So, like I said, I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for you. That you keep saying about that secret title, and then beyond that, in 2022 and beyond, we'll see how far things go for you and where you be at. Going to be interesting decade here in the 20s.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right, and another question: is there anything else coming out that you can talk about? Anything you want to plug in at this time, or any like past projects you want the viewers right now to take a look at?
Another one that I translated that just came out is the Twittering Birds, the Clouds Gather film, which is like a Yakuza BL, like boys love. So and it's got it's very vulgar and it's got a lot of violence. So, there's some viewers who it definitely won't be their thing, but if it sounds like something people might be interested in, the dialogue in that was really fun to write. It's got a lot of really great lines where I just almost burst out laughing after writing the line or whatever. So yeah, a lot of fun characters and interesting story. Then Sentai is releasing the Venus Wars film in about I think less than a month now, and I didn't do the translation for the film, but it's a really fun film, and I translated some of the booklet that's coming with it. So there's some good it's got a whole lore about how Venus has been terraformed, and how there's competing interests on different continents and stuff, and I got to translate a lot of that. And then, like I mentioned, the new volume of Made in Abyss, the very latest one's coming out, the manga volume in March or so. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, and other titles, that you said, Classic Lloyd doesn't have an
Yeah.
English, does not have an English dub, but nonetheless, you did the translation for, I believe, the subtitles. So people can always look at
Yep.
those non-English dub shows that the viewers here can always go look towards you if they want more content or just see more of your work and see your work in these translations.
Oh yeah, Classicoid is a fun one. I mean, it's 50 episodes long, so if you want to get to know a lot of characters really well, or you just want to see really wacky takes on, composers like Mozart and Beethoven being reincarnated in modern day Japan as androids. I mean, it's a fun show. Uh, and it's one of the few comedy shows I've worked on. So in terms of having to do a lot of puns and jokes and stuff like that, it's interesting from a translation perspective too.
Yeah, for sure. And I do hope one day Sentai will dub classical Lloyd's English dub.
That'd be nice.
It looks like it deserves one, and I'm sure there's actors that love Mozart, Beethoven. I know a few
Oh yeah.
they like to listen to in their cars or at their homes, and I'm pretty sure they would really like to cut their teeth just getting the opportunity to play Mozart or Beethoven. So
I'm sure someone could do a great job. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm hoping for that day to come. So yeah, and then to wrap up this interview slash podcast, is there any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, anything for the fans to contact you at?
Yeah, I'm definitely most active on Twitter, so that's the place. My handle there is Jake underbar J underbar JUNG Young, my last name. So yeah, I post a lot of translation stuff there under the hashtag M translating, and then some Japanese learning content under the hashtag Nihongo. So that's the place to get in touch with me.
All right. Well, thank you, Jake, for your time making this interview slash podcast happen. It was really insightful. It was great to finally talk to you face to face for the first time ever. We've had some great conversations on Twitter, offline. I learned a lot from you. Got a great perspective. I felt like I was educated just going through all these questions with you. I really enjoyed having you on.
Thank you, Christian. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. So thank you for giving me the chance to chat about some of the stuff I do.
Yeah, definitely, it was my pleasure. I really hope everyone's watching this enjoyed it too. Got to know you more than just the guy behind Twitter, just translating stuff from Japanese to English, and got to know you a bit more with your life outside, the studio, translating stuff all day, and just hearing about your life in Japan. I'll say this: it's great that an American like you had the opportunity to make the jump to live in a different country. I know it can be though frightening. It can be nerve wracking, making that decision, just leaving your home for a new home, and yeah, it's got to be very surreal for most people. And I know people out there who kind of like wish to have the opportunity to get that chance to also live in Japan. And hearing your experiences, it kind of helps more easygoing. Put them at a good mood where this can be done. You can find that lifestyle in Japan when you have the right mindset, the right career path to get you there. And this really was great insight hearing from you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you said that. You said that very eloquently.
I try to be as colorful with my vocabulary as I can, and again, I'm just really happy that you got this chance. I kind of wish I had this chance. It just depends on just if the cards in the right place to make
Yeah,
this happen. And it's more, it helps more just hearing someone else or really experiencing that, just hearing you talk about it. If this can be done for people, may not work for everyone, but it could work for some if they really can keep at it, and eventually it might happen one day for them. So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah, so keep it up. Wish you all the best. A happy new year. Best of luck in 2021. And yeah, thank you, Jake, for your time, for coming on here.
Likewise, thanks to you, and I hope you have hope we all have a better 2021, and I'll keep in touch.
Yep, same here. And thank you to our viewers out there for tuning in for this episode of the Ohio Guys. Thank you, everyone. I'll be seeing you in the next video. I'm Christian.
And I'm Jake.
And we will see you next time, everyone. Bye now.